Hello there. Halloween, happy Halloween. Well, it hasn't been a very happy Halloween this year. I got news this morning. My father, my 96-year-old father, is very poorly, so I'm going to have to, it's not looking good. I'm going to have to dash over tomorrow or Sunday at the latest. And then this evening, a good friend of mine, his partner of 33 or 4 years, passed away. So, yeah, I wasn't going to come on, and then I was thinking of my father and a story he told me, and I thought I'd come on and tell the story anyway. It was down at the Silver River, and this occurred maybe between the 1860s and the 1870s. And there was a man called, he told me his name was Billy Maguire. And I think he was from the County Tyrone, but he'd been passing through. And he went up to visit somebody up the hill of Croghan. And on his way down, he visited the graveyard, and he seen a headstone with the name Billy Maguire. And the date of birth was exactly the birth and the death of his own father. And he was so fascinated by this coincidence, and it was just a coincidence, that he decided to take up lodgings, and he stayed with my great grandfather in the hut in Ringbog. And next thing he said, he took up work with the Board of Works, digging drains. And one night he was coming home along just a Derry Coffee at the bridge at the Silver River, where I fished all my young life. And he seen this at a bitter cold night, and Halloween night. And he seen this woman down by the bank taking shelter in the river, and he felt bad of her to be out on an owl one like that, to be out. And it wasn't until he got up close to her, he noticed that her hair that he thought was silver, and when he got close to it, it was kind of silky, and it was down over her two shoulders, and about 3 yards down by the side. And he thought, he knew then no mortal woman could grow hair like that. And it was absolutely terrifying. And she had her head in her hands, and he went to touch her, then he decided not to. And he said, "Can I help you, ma'am?" he said, "out on this cold night." And I reckon she looked up at him. She took her hands away from her face. She put the fear of God in them. She had two glowing eyes, and her face was like that of the appearance of her skin was like that of a turkey's egg. So he ran, and he ran, and he ran, and he bursted into the tin hut and fell face forward on the floor. And my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother said to him, "My God, Bill, what's wrong with you?" And they got a bit of a punch or something that they had to throw down his throat. And he said, am I in this world, or am I in the other world? "Oh no, you're in the right world." So he told them the story anyway. That was grand. And next thing, so my father said to me, he said, "Always never go around there," he said, "of a New Year's Eve night." He says, "Whatever you do." And of course that was like telling me to go, because I done everything I shouldn't have done. Whereas up in Croghan Hill, I would have been about maybe 1974, 1975. I was above in Croghan Hill with a good friend of mine, and where I was visiting herself, Mary Margaret, because Mary Margaret said to me, she said, you cycle past that Silver River when you're going home. She said, you shouldn't be out tonight. Alright, I said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm out every Halloween night. But tonight, she said, I'd prefer you weren't. And she went on to tell me that her grandmother, I can't remember if it was her grandmother or her great-grandmother, was a fairy woman. And Jesus, I said, I knew there was something about you. I said, I couldn't leave you alone from the minute I first met you. And she said, no, I'm telling you. She said, that's a beautiful place, that Silver River, she said. But not tonight. Of course, sure. I didn't listen at all, did I? Me and my mate, away on the bicycle. We're flying by anyway. Just being the lads we were, didn't we stop? I'll never forget this as long as I live, but we looked down by the side of the river and we just saw the shadow of something going under the bridge. It's just a little small bridge. And there was a white mist just up above the river. And wasn't there a real old homemade fishing rod stuck into the turf mowl of the bank? And I said to me mate, look at it. I said, there's something on that. Somebody's been fishing there. And he said, geez, I'll go down and see is there a fish on it. Now mind you, this was November, and it was as cold, and I mean as cold as a moon shining into the top of a bog hole on a frosty night. And because I said, no, come on, let's get out of here. Maybe Mary Margaret was right. But he insisted. He went down anyway. He climbed down the bank. And lo and behold, there was something on the end of it. And the way this, I think it was an old Sally stick, big long one, was bending. I said to him, that's not right. I said, there's only small trout in that little stream, and no way is that right. And the next thing, no, he couldn't let go of it, and he wasn't going to let go of it. He was pulling it in, and he had to pull in the line with his hand like that. Well, I'll never forget the roars of it. And just above the mist was just above about 6 inches above the water, just enough to see this head coming out. And it was the head of a big toad about the size of a big dinner plate. But it had no legs and it had no tail, it just had wings, and the roars of the show. Oh, it could be heard all across the bog, and I never screeching and roaring, never heard the fucking likes of it in my living life. Well, they dropped the rod into the river and away. Well, I never seen the lad coming up the bank as quick. The two of us up on the bike, we'd only the one bike, him up on the handlebars. I'll tell you what, that bike hit tore quicker than it ever did. But often I go back there, and I've often gone back on a New Year's Eve night on my own, and I never seen nothing. But in my head I can hear that roar, and it was like nothing from this earth. You know, that's a true story. What do you think of that?